How do you actually make a store which truly converts? There's so many questions about this, and this video is going to be the full guide on how to make a good store. This is going to be part 3 of the fundamental series. We already covered product research and the mindset part in the last 2 videos. If you haven't checked that out, do that. I'm going to link it somewhere here. However, here we're only going to be talking about store creation. So the very first question is, what is the goal of making the store? And it's only 2 things. Number 1 is that it converts. So basically, if 100 people go to your store, how many do buy? And the second goal is how much do they spend each? It's very important to only keep those 2 things in mind and nothing else. Because most people actually think about different things. They think, does it look pretty? Do I like this store? Are the colors matching? Is this cool? Is this good? Is this bad? They think that all of those things are going to impact the conversions, when in reality, they just want to please their ADHD, which needs to make everything perfect. So in this video, you're not going to learn how to make a pretty store. You're going to learn how you actually get people to buy your product, and also how to sell additional things on top of the core product itself. Just to cover the coloring, for example, instead of just thinking by yourself and making a perfect color, do what already works. So take the biggest online store in the whole world, which is Amazon, and just copy their colors one by one. You're not going to be able to do all the split tests Amazon did already. They've been through every color. They tried everything possible, and this is what they came to. And this should be generally a rule of thumb. Because if you see somebody doing something, it means that they've gotten there through testing a shit ton of other things. And for example, if you see a competitor charging some random price, maybe they've already split tested 20 prices, and this is the price which converted the best. So instead of thinking, just do exactly what works. And I actually had this from Grant Cardone. He was constantly talking about him not doing research before he buys real estate. And that really confused me, but he explained it extremely well. He just said, instead of me searching for the perfect spot to buy real estate, instead of that, I'm just gonna buy real estate which is next to Starbucks. At first, this might sound super illogical because not everybody needs to buy a coffee, but it's not about that. It's about Starbucks having a department which is specifically there to do a market analysis. They're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars every single month to find the perfect location. So what he's doing is just taking advantage of the millions Starbucks spent and just buying everything next to them, because they already know. He's not going to know better than them because he's not spending millions of dollars monthly to actually do that, but Starbucks does. So you can literally piggyback ride every huge brand ever by applying this thought. Now that that's covered, let's talk about the next thing, which is how much time should you put into the store? This is really crucial. And most people take way too much time to build this store and make everything perfect, when in reality, they've already been able to launch weeks earlier, but they didn't, just to make everything perfect. Those final touches kill you every single time. So what you need to do is set yourself a deadline, and at that deadline, you're going to launch no matter what. You're going to finish up the store until then, and all the perfection you can do after launching. You're going to have a bunch of time anyways, so that's for later. One huge mistake which I'm seeing a bunch of people do is explaining versus showing. If you're, for example, selling some kind of eyebrow kit and you're explaining how amazing it's going to look when you use it, and there's going to be this crazy difference, and you explain all of those things instead of just showing a picture or a GIF with a before and after version of that person. Obviously, don't write the words before and after because you're gonna get blocked, but you can just show how it looked before and after. Always keep this in mind. Visuals are better than explanations because people trust what they see 100 times more than just words somewhere. The copy is always going to be less important than the visuals, and the visuals are the reason why most people buy. Just think about it by yourself. Who do you actually trust? If I just tell you I have a bunch of students who are successful, that's one thing. If I show you, which we do with all the case studies, where we have like hour-long conversations with each individual person where they are successful, that's a completely different thing. And you actually start trusting that just because you see that person. It becomes real. And if I explain how successful somebody is, the impact is going to be much, much lower. The next thing you need to understand is the concept of objections. Everybody who doesn't buy from your store has a reason for that. For example, maybe right now they wanted to buy your product, but their internet connection broke up and now they cannot buy your product. This is an objection which you cannot solve. It's not in your control, so you don't need to focus on that at all. However, there's also tons of other objections which you can actually impact. For example, an objection could be, you're again selling the eyebrow pen and a person already has bought an eyebrow pen before, and that thing actually was completely not matching the color which she actually was expecting. And you can handle that by showing how the colors are matching or having a bunch of reviews which are going to talk about exactly that. I actually bought 5 of those eyebrow pens everywhere else and they didn't work. However, this one was the first time they actually matched my eyebrow color. Or you're going to have a comparison, which is basically going to be our eyebrow pen versus their eyebrow pens. And you're basically going to just show this difference. And you truly need to understand what the objections of the people are who are in your niche and how you can find that out. You go to Amazon, just into your niche and into your product category, and you're going to see a bunch of different products there. But you just go through all the products and sort the reviews by 1 star. And you're just going to see every single complaint everybody has about that product. Again, as an example, you're selling some kind of resistance band. But basically, people are going to talk about how the pink resistance band made all of their foot or arm pink as well. So now you know people who bought resistance bands are my demographic. That's the people I want to target. And now I'm thinking, all right, how can I reach them? And you basically show how you're rubbing the resistance band on your skin, but nothing stays there. And you're talking about exactly that being a benefit of your product. And this is going to solve a bunch of objections. And you need to truly understand exactly this concept. There's so many different things which could be the reason why somebody doesn't buy. And we need to optimize everything. This is also the reason why tons of huge brands are having a Q&A section. Literally, the Q&A section is a place where you solve objections. The question is an objection. And if you don't see any answer to that question, which everybody has in their head, they're not going to buy. However, if you just have a Q&A section and you explain exactly that objection and you explain yourself out of it, then it's fine. They're going to buy. Also, if you're actually confident in your product, you can give guarantees on that. You can talk about how if it rubs off, you're going to get a refund or something like that. There's a bunch of places in the store and in the funnel in general where people trust you more and where people trust you less. So I'm going to give you a personal example here. The past weekend, I was in the Tenerife with my girlfriend, as you can probably tell by my tan. I basically wanted to rent a nice villa there. However, when I was on Airbnb and checking the things, the first thing I was thinking about is right now we have March, the weather is going to be 22 degrees. And basically my concern was, should I take this place because it's not going to be super hot and in the evening without the sun, it's actually going to be pretty cold. So is the jacuzzi going to be warm enough? And there's a bunch of different places where I was looking. The first thing was I was just going through the Airbnb page. Maybe they have a description. Maybe they could have said the temperature of the water is X. Or they're going to tell me, hey, we can actually change the temperature from this to this. That would be one place and I would trust it. But where I trusted way more is in the reviews. If I see a bunch of reviews where people are going to say, hey, the jacuzzi is super cold, I'm obviously going to trust that more than anything which is actually going to be said on the product page. However, if people are going to say it's super hot and the jacuzzi was perfect, even though it wasn't the hottest weather, then I will be 100% sold. And then there's also one big difference, which is on Airbnb, you trust reviews. On random stores, you don't trust reviews. Because on Airbnb, it's actually pretty tough to fake them and it needs to be an actual customer. On a store, people know you can fake it. So one really powerful thing is in the Facebook comments or in the Instagram or TikTok comments, people are looking there way more. They trust everything they see in there 1,000 times more than in the reviews or on the store itself. So basically, the trust is the highest on Facebook or on all those platforms in the comments. After that, it's going to be the reviews. And after that, it's going to be your store itself. Just keep that in mind and understand what is going to have the biggest impact. Let's talk about the next thing, which is the age-old question of should it be a one-product store, a general store, or a niche store? Very first of all, I have to emphasize one thing. Like 85% of the people who go to your store are not going to leave your product page at all. They go to your product page, they don't even check if you have other products in the store. They're not going to see anything. They're just on your product page, that's it. That's the majority of everybody who visits your product page, meaning that the question itself is almost irrelevant. Those 15% who are going to check the rest and not buy because it's a general store and not a one-product store, it's just a small difference. And sure, you should optimize small differences on scale. But when you're starting out, it literally doesn't matter. Niche stores, general stores, one product store, everything works. And you also should only focus on one product page. I've seen this insanely big mistake being done, which is you make a general store and then you make 20 product pages and you make all of them nice. You don't need to. It's literally a complete waste of time. Also, on a niche store, having complementary products and the complementary products having good descriptions, it's just wasting your time on things which feel productive but are completely useless and unproductive. It's just a waste of your time. So don't do that. Only focus on your product page and that's it. Don't focus on the rest. Don't think that the About Us or our mission page is going to make any impact on you finding a winner or not finding a winner. When you test a product and it doesn't work, the reason for that is not going to be you not having an About Us or our mission page. And the same thing goes to those small details which are outside of your product page. You simply cannot think about them. So should you start with a general one product store? First of all, irrelevant question, you shouldn't think about it. But the actual answer is it really depends. If you, for example, you have pretty good budget and your strategy requires you to test a bunch of products. You're doing TikTok ads, you're testing in Europe, whatever. Your strategy is to mass test. And obviously do a general store because it literally just doesn't make sense to constantly switch stores after testing each product. However, if you want to go more of the quality side and just test one by one, then you can do a niche or one product store. But I personally would not recommend naming that store in a way where you're limiting yourself to only one niche or one product. Because, for example, if you name your store carlovers.com, obviously you only can sell car products. And if that one product doesn't work, then you only limit yourself to either testing the car niche or you need to change the name, buy it in domain. It's just a unnecessary pain in the ass. So personally, I would just recommend to make a one product store with a general name, which is kind of an in between. And after you see it works, then sure, brand around that, make sure that you optimize all the little details. But before that, just fuck it. Let's talk about two huge components about people buying on your store. Number one is loading speed. If everything takes too long and this whole store is too slow, it's just going to ruin everything. It's not something which is going to increase your conversions if you have super good loading speed. It's just something which can fuck it up if you don't have that. Now, besides the loading speed, there's one huge thing which I still didn't talk about, which is the offer. Probably one of the biggest things which are going to actually determine if people buy. For example, if you price your product way too expensive, less people are going to buy. If you price your product too cheap, some people in some niches will actually think that your product is shit quality and they're also not going to buy. So you definitely have to find the middle spot that also allows you to have margins and still maintain a good conversion rate. There's so many components which go into this, but just as a rule of thumb, the first thing to keep in mind is have at least 2.5 to 3x margins. And the second thing, just look at your competitors and price it the same way. Don't get creative with it. Just first do the exact same pricing as them, and then you can start split testing the rest. Also keep in mind to not copy your pricing from brands. If you see a regular dropshipper which has a dropshipping store and is not super fancy, just copy them versus brands, because brands are actually going to always charge more and they're going to get away with it because they've already established a following, they have like a proper thing, and everything looks more luxurious, which is definitely an advanced stage which you want to get into, but it's not the priority and you shouldn't be thinking about that at all before you have the proven concept properly. So don't mimic brands, mimic dropshippers. That's super important. But I have to tell you one thing. Most dropshippers suck at upselling and optimizing average order value. They have no clue how to truly get the most amount of money out of one person who already is buying. And this is something which you should under no circumstances copy from your competitors because they suck. You should not look at other dropshippers. Even advanced dropshippers have no clue what they are doing in terms of upselling. And because this video is getting a little bit too long, this is exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video of the fundamental series. It's basically going to be how to upsell people and what stages can you upsell them, and also how do you actually get the offer to be perfectly made for the average order value. Because in a lot of the cases, it's a balancing act. You're going to see that people are buying more expensive or more things, but your conversion rate drops. However, this is something which is a huge mistake a lot of people also do. They think, my average order value is great, I should keep doing this, but in reality, their profit drops because the conversion rate got lower. And you need to have this balance constantly in place just to maintain the highest amount of profit. And this is literally something which can either make or break your store. Because if you can afford to spend more money on marketing because everybody's buying a bunch of pieces from you, you will crush everybody else in the industry. So what I want you to do right now is subscribe to the channel and turn on the post notification thing so you don't miss that video, because trust me, if you actually apply the things I'm going to talk about there, it's just going to be insanely profitable for you. So that put aside, I have to tell you one thing. The shortcut to making a lot of money with dropshipping is having a dropshipper look over the things you do and tell you if you're doing it right or wrong. Well, you can apply all the things I just told you here, but misunderstand one and it's just going to ruin everything, because that one thing is going to impact the entire store. If you want me to look over the things you do step by step. Look over your products, tell you which one is good. Look over your store, tell you what to change. Look over your ads and actually make sure that you have ads which are designed for people to click. If you're actually interested in all of those things, click the link below and sign up for a call with me personally where we're gonna find out if this is gonna be a good fit. If yes, we're gonna start, and if no, then not. So talk to you there.